Anytime I post about miniatures on the internet.com, one kind of comment pervades my comment section above all else. That is, of course, discounting comments about my appearance, implied sexuality, or racial slurs that have nothing to do with me, and that is a comment in regards to my barrel holes, that they remain proudly and justifiably undrilled. In all honesty, that is where I could leave this conversation. But this is such a pervasive line of commentary that I receive on a near daily basis, to the point where I need to stand in front of you today, in front of this camera, broadcasting my message out onto the internet.org to tell you, unequivocally, without hyperbole, and so there can be no manner of miscommunication or misreading my intention, to tell you, personally, that I have no intention of drilling my barrel holes, and I doubt I ever will at any point of time in my entire life, either now or in the future. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And neither should you, quite frankly. You see this tiny little man? He is tiny. He's a miniature. It's in the name. I want you to tell me right now, can you tell whether or not this man's holes are drilled? Actually, I might need to review the footage to see whether or not you can. You can't tell. And you know why? Because it's such a tiny little insignificant detail that's meaningless in the grand scheme of things. You can't see it. Why would I bother with it? First of all, let me get something straight. Miniature painting is an expensive hobby. First of all, you need to buy the little plastic miniatures of which you need to paint, some of them being more expensive than others, and then outside of that you also need to buy paints, brushes, spray can primers. Yes, the charming salesman at your local Warhammer store will tell you you don't need to buy the spray primers, but let's be real here. Nobody's primed a model with a brush in Abaddon Black in the last 17 years, and you know it. I'm not going to go out there and buy a $20 tool just so I can carve out the tiniest little details on the teensiest little gun barrels for some of the models that I might paint. Okay? I'm simply not going to do it. If this matters that much to you, send me 25 Canadian dollars and I will buy a drill and drill the barrels for you, okay? That is hyperbole. I'm not going to do that regardless of how much money you send me. Oh, what? You're just scared? You're not going to be good at using the tool and you're going to break the model by drilling the hole in the wrong place? Yes. Unequivocally, yes. I am not a smart man. I am not good with my hands. I am not good with tools. The only reason I paint miniatures is because it's kind of an adult three-dimensional paint by numbers. Like, it's a very simple thing to do. Okay, maybe not simple, it's quite intricate and requires a lot of hand-eye coordination and all that. But like, I analyze the surface area and I figure out which parts I want to be green, brown, or yellow and just sort of go from there, you know? And let's be real. Using a drill for your barrel holes is a permanent fixture that you are installing into the plastic of the Warhammer miniatures of which you have spent real money for. If you drill the hole in the wrong place, you can't go back from that. I cannot go up to the counter of my local Warhammer store and say, hey, can I get my $120 refund on this one little plastic man that I purchased because I fucked it up? I can't do that, A, because they legally won't give me the money, and 2, I don't want to admit that to another human person. Oh, so you're just a coward? Yes. Yes, I am. I would rather live my entire life not knowing what it is like to drill a single barrel hole, and therefore completely avoid the risk of damaging one of my cool toys that I spent real money on beyond repair. I am also not doing it on moral grounds. This is my moral stance that I'm putting to you. The entire idea of drilling barrel holes is a system that sets us up to fail. It creates a two-class system of haves and have-nots. In this case, holes that are drilled and holes that remain undrilled. The people who drill their holes only do so they can feel superior to you. They only do it to flex the fact that they can afford a $20 piece of metal that they bought from Army Painter because the official Citadel ones are slightly more expensive. And on top of that, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this in full sincerity. Have you ever seen a barrel hole drilled so well that you go, damn, that's a good hole? Of course you haven't, because you cannot drill a barrel hole so good that it adds an entirely new layer of depth to the miniature. You cannot drill a barrel hole so good that you would look at it and go, damn, that's a spicy hole. If you drill a barrel hole, you either do it correctly and get a singular tick of approval, a singular Boolean yes. But if you fail, if you fuck up the drilling of that hole, it is a sliding scale of just how much of a piece of shit it makes you look like. You cannot succeed wildly in the drilling of a hole, but you can fail astronomically. You could drill a hole slightly off center. You could drill a hole that's slightly too small because you don't actually have the drill bit big enough to make a hole that's the right size that you want, and are completely unaware that the army painted barrel drills have like a little compartment on the end of them that you can pop out, which actually contain like separate little bits of metal that you can screw the other size drills into. That the other size drills of which come with the actual drill that you bought, but you're still not quite sure how to put them in there. That's because you don't know there's a compartment in the other pieces inside. You could drill a little too close to the edge of the plastic and actually put a hole in it that comes out the other side in a way that you did not intend. Or you could drill a little hole in the barrel and go, shit, I put that in the wrong place. I'm kind of going to have to like drill another sort of hole down here to make it look like I actually drilled it in the right place. And then you end up getting a barrel hole that's kind of like italicized. When drilling holes, you cannot win. And therefore it is a game that I refuse to play on principle. And I can tell what you're thinking right here and now in this moment. You think that I am only saying these things because I do not know the sublime joy of what it's like to have my holes drilled. You think that I'm only saying this because I don't understand, and that if I had the tool in my hand and actually tried using it on one of my little plastic boys that I love so much, the world would be open to me, the skies would clear, and a glowing sense of understanding would wash over me like a wave of euphoria. But I say to you, once again, shut up. You're wrong. You don't know my life. You remember at the start of this video where I said I would only procure a barrel drill for myself if somebody gave me $25 to do so? I have said that before, and it did happen. So I have posted many miniatures on the internet.com that have drilled barrel holes, but has anybody left me a single comment saying the phrase, hey, nice holes? They have, but that's entirely unrelated. And you know why that's never happened? I'll tell you why. You don't actually care. You don't actually give a shit if what I'm doing with my miniatures is good or right or correct. All you want to do is feel smugly superior to me because you're out here drilling your barrel holes and it's a tiny little detail that just adds a little pop, a little flair, a little je ne sais quoi to the miniatures that you're painting. You just want to feel better than me. You just want to feel superior. And guess what? You probably are. I'm not that great. And as we all know, the fastest way to make yourself superior to somebody else is to drag them down, thereby leaving yourself in an elevated position because you have actively gone out of your way to lower somebody else. But do you know the most efficient and best way to be better than someone? Prove it. Show off how slick and cool your fancy little barrel holes are. Don't bring me down. Don't try to de-escalate me. Don't try to throw me to the dirt and tell me my shit looks like shit because I didn't put a tiny little hole on the end of a gun. I refuse to accept that as an actual criticism for my painting efforts. If you want to criticize the way that my models look, go for something that actually matters, like the fact that I rely too much on shade paints to make my orc skin the right color of green that I like, or the fact that for some reason all of the miniatures that I show in my videos are covered in a fine layer of dust for some reason, even though I try to dust them off before I take any videos with them, but for some fucking reason they all look dusty in every video that I have. Attack me for something real, something that matters. But putting everything aside, putting away the cold, hard wrath that I feel deep in my soul anytime somebody tells me to take a knife to the plastic little toy that I spent a lot of good money on, putting all of that aside, I'm gonna tell you here and now the real reason why I don't drill my barrel holes. It's because I don't care. I am sure that if I was to ever enter a professional painting competition, I would lose points because my holes remain undrilled. There is no doubt in my mind that the feeble act of drilling a tiny little hole onto a little itty-bitty piece of plastic would elevate my miniature, only slightly, give it a little spark of realism, that tiny little extra detail that shows that I went the extra mile. I know that that's true, and despite all of that, I simply don't care. And more than that, I want to show the people of the world that there are no rules when it comes to engaging in the hobby in the way that you want to engage in it. There is no barrier to entry for this stuff aside from the steep financial cost of materials that this hobby requires. There are no necessary checkpoints that you have to pass in order for you to be deemed a real John Warhammer aficionado. You can build your little plastic men. You can prime them with the spray primer that you 100% need to paint these models with. And you can paint your funny little spacemen and women any way that you want, using any material, any brand, any method of painting that you so desire. It all works. It's all valid. There are no rules, and we're all gonna die. So the next time somebody tells you that you need to drill your barrel holes, the next time somebody tries to make you feel lesser or inferior over the fact that you did not drill your barrel holes, here is what you need to do. Look them dead in the eye and say to them in a clear, understandable voice, "Fuck off. I don't care. L plus ratio plus I did your mother." And if you go the extra mile to do that, there'll always be a space for you at my gaming table. Anyway, like and subscribe. The next video will be about mold lines or some shit. Yeah.